Greetings, philosophers. Today, we're stepping into ancient Athens to explore one of Plato's most intriguing dialogues, Euthyphro. It's a short but punchy text that wrestles with a question that still haunts us. What is piety? Or, in plainer terms, what does it mean to be good, to do the right thing, especially when we think about our relationship with something bigger, like the divine, or morality itself? Let's unpack this gem together, and I promise it's going to feel as lively as a chat over coffee, even though we're dealing with ideas from 2,400 years ago. Picture this: we're in Athens, around 399 BCE. The streets are buzzing with merchants, philosophers, and politicians. Socrates, Plato's mentor and the star of this dialogue, is on his way to court. He's been accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods, serious charges that'll soon lead to his trial and execution. Outside the courthouse, he bumps into Euthyphro, a young man who's a bit of a know-it-all, a self-proclaimed expert on religion. Euthyphro's there to prosecute his own father for murder, which, even in ancient Greece, was a bold move. It's a captivating setup. Socrates, the skeptic, meets Euthyphro, the confident believer, and they start talking about piety. What follows is a conversation that's less about answers and more about exposing how shaky our assumptions can be. Euthyphro is a philosophical mirror. It forces us to look at how we justify our moral choices. When we say something is right or wrong, where do those ideas come from? Are they handed down by a higher power, or do we figure them out ourselves? These are the kinds of questions that make this dialogue timeless, whether you're religious, spiritual, or just trying to be a decent human being. Let's break it down. Socrates asks Euthyphro a deceptively simple question: what is piety? Euthyphro, full of swagger, says it's doing what he's doing, prosecuting wrongdoers, even if it's his own dad. It's about justice, he says, and pleasing the gods. Sounds reasonable, right? But Socrates, being Socrates, doesn't let it slide. He pushes back. Is that really a definition, or just an example? If piety is about pleasing the gods, what happens when the gods disagree? In Greek mythology, after all, the gods are notorious for squabbling. Zeus might love one thing, Athena another. So, whose side do you pick? This is where things get interesting. Euthyphro tries again, saying piety is what's pleasing to all the gods. But Socrates, like a philosophical bulldog, digs deeper. He asks the big one, now the question that's now called the Euthyphro dilemma. Is something pious because the gods love it, or do the gods love it because it's pious? In other words, is goodness just whatever the gods say it is? Or is there some independent standard of goodness that even the gods follow? If it's the first, then morality feels arbitrary. If Zeus wakes up cranky and decides lying is pious, does that make lying good? But if it's the second, then goodness exists outside the gods, which raises all sorts of questions about where it comes from. Now, you don't need to believe in Greek gods to feel the weight of this. Swap gods for whatever guides your moral compass, religion, society, your conscience. The dilemma still stings. If you say something is right because your faith or culture says so, what happens when those rules clash with your gut? And if you believe in some universal good beyond those rules, how do you know what it is? These are the kinds of questions that keep philosophers up at night, and honestly, they're worth losing a little sleep over. Euthyphro starts to squirm as Socrates pokes holes in his answers. He tries another definition. Piety is part of justice, the part that deals with caring for the gods. Socrates loves this. He's like a kid unwrapping a present, only to find another box inside. He asks, how do we care for the gods? Do they need our help, like we're bringing them chicken soup when they're sick? Euthyphro says it's more about serving them, like offering sacrifices or prayers. But Socrates points out that this just loops back to pleasing the gods, and we're back at the dilemma. Is it good because they like it, or do they like it because it's good? At this point, Euthyphro's getting frustrated. You can almost hear him sigh through the pages. He accuses Socrates of making his arguments go in circles. And that's the magic of this dialogue. It doesn't give you a neat answer. Plato, through Socrates, is showing us that real philosophy isn't about winning arguments or memorizing definitions. It's about questioning what we think we know. Euthyphro walks away, still confident but a little rattled, and Socrates heads to his trial, leaving us to ponder the mess. You see, Euthyphro isn't trying to tell you what piety is. It's asking you to think harder about what you believe and why. It's a call to examine your life, like Socrates always said. If you're doing something because it's what people do or it's what I was taught, this dialogue nudges you to ask, is that enough? What if your traditions, your rules, your gods, whatever they are, point you in a direction that feels wrong? Or what if you're so sure you're right, like Euthyphro, that you're willing to turn on your own family? These are raw, human questions, and they hit as hard today as they did in Athens. Now, Plato wrote this dialogue knowing Socrates was about to die for his beliefs. There's a shadow hanging over it. Socrates is questioning piety while facing charges of impiety. That's not just irony, it's a gut punch. It makes you wonder if Plato's asking us to see Socrates as the truly pious one, not because he followed the rules, but because he dared to question them. He cared about truth more than safety. That's a kind of courage we don't talk about enough. I don't want to leave you with the idea that Euthyphro is just a brain teaser. It's practical. Think about the debates we have today about morality, religion, justice. People still clash over what's right, whether it's about laws, ethics, or how we treat each other. The Euthyphro dilemma pops up every time we argue about where our values come from. Is something wrong because society says so, or is there a deeper truth we're all reaching toward? Next time you're scrolling through a heated comment thread online, you might spot Socrates smirking in the background. Let's think about Euthyphro himself. He's not a villain, he's just human. He's so sure of his answers that he doesn't see the cracks in them. We've all been there, haven't we? That moment when you're dead certain you're right, only to have someone or life itself pull the rug out. Plato's not mocking Euthyphro, he's holding up a mirror to all of us. The real challenge is to keep questioning, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it makes you feel like your head's spinning. As we leave ancient Athens and head back to our lives, let's carry a bit of Socrates with us. Ask the hard questions, don't settle for easy answers. Whether it's about piety, goodness, or just how to live well, the search is what keeps us sharp. Thanks for joining me in this dive into Plato's world. Next time, we'll tackle another big idea, so stick around, keep thinking, and maybe even question a thing or two before we meet again.